Hiya. This is a video today talking about hook patterns, hook sizes, my experience in using that type of hook, the situations I've been in, and what's let me down at the time and what's been great for me at the time. So, right, where do we start? In the Varivas range, it's a great hook, there's no doubt about it. There's probably millions of people across the world that are now using Varivas. There's lots of other good makes out there. You've got Cox and Roll, you've got Sakuma, but for me in the last 8 to 10 years it's been Varivas. Right, let's start with the easy stuff. So the rays, as you all know, my favourite fish is the blonde ray. I get a lot of messages asking why I use such a big hook for blonde rays, where a majority of the people that message me are using like a 3.0 hook or a 4.0 hook. For a blonde ray, the smallest hook I would use would be 5.0, personally. I've been blonde ray fishing now for over 15 years. I used to use small hooks growing up, when I first started many years ago. But as time got on, when you caught a load of fish, when you see the size of their mouth, they can fit a can of Coke in there, the blonde rays. And when you see a 5.0 hook BMX in the corner of the mouth or in the back, you know, you could probably get away with an 8.0 or a 10.0 size hook. So my preference really, I've had spotteds from like £0.5 up to over £5 on 5.0 BMXs. I've had thornbacks from ounces up to just under £14 on 5.0 BMXs. I've had 2 blondes over 20 now from the Welsh coastline on 5.0 BMXs. You know, they got really big mouth. Even the small eyes, when you're targeting the small eyes in the summer, 5.0 BMXs, because you don't know if it's going to be a £1 small eye or a £13 small eye, and you want to know that what you're using as a hook is not going to let you down. So my choice of hook for fishing for blonde rays, any type of ray really, is always a 5.0 BMX. No bigger, no smaller. That's just a personal preference. And then we go into the same pattern of hook. On a recent video you see me use a 3.0 BMX. So there's the size difference. If you can pick that up on the camera, it's quite, you know, it's almost double the size. The 3.0 is I use for the hounds. Sometimes, like when I'm winter fishing for codling, which is very rare now, I'll go to a 3.0 hook, because I find they take the hook deeper. I haven't used a big hook for a cod for a while, but I'm not saying, you know, they got really big mouths. But for some reason over the years, many years ago, we used to catch cod down Aberthaw. A big hook would always lip hook a cod in my personal catches, but a 3.0 hook would be taken right down. But in the right circumstance, it'd probably take a 10.0 hook. Right, the next hook I go on to is the Chinook. VMO have recently purchased the 5.0s. So not only now can you get them in 3.0s, which is a very popular size, you can now get them in 5.0s, which is almost twice the size, which are really good, strong, thick, sharp hooks. I've used these on a couple of ray sessions at the moment, just mainly dogfish, and there's a lot of dogfish in the channel at the moment. But these are really good hooks from Varivas. In the Chinooks, I should use these a lot more really. I used to use them a lot on the hounds, but I've switched over to the circle hook, which I'll talk about. Now the circle hook is a Marmite hook. It's either love it or hate it. The experience I had with circle hooks was not last spring, the spring before. When you look at a circle hook, it's not a very attractive hook. You think, you know, really a point should be facing upwards to catch the fish, but it's facing inwards. And to be fair, when these go in, they don't come out. You know, you're better off crushing the barb if you want a good unhook of the fish. I first used these on a tope session spring before last. I had 6 runs that spring, and I landed all 6 tope, even be it all like doubles to like late 20s in pound. They were all nailed on the circle hook. So I thought, oh, you know, I found a winning hook. because I was losing a lot of taupe or dropping a lot of taupe on the BMX hooks. Great hooks, a lot of people use them. It's just the way the taupe picks it up, and it's personal preference as well. So I thought, right, so I did a few spring trips on the taupe, nailed the 6 runs I had. I went into the autumn with full confidence fishing for taupe. A couple of sessions, or this one session stood out in mind. An old mate of mine was fishing next to me using catfish hooks and BMXs, nailing everything that he was getting bites from. Me, I was getting fish on, good, good fish, possibly spur dogs, possibly huss. Halfway in, they were just coming off, but they were finicky bites. There was no slack liners, there was no ratchet runs, they were just finicky bites. Drop a little bit slack, go over a little bit, nothing to show a promising sign of a good fish. So I lost confidence, but luckily in my rig wallet I had half a dozen rigs made up with a catfish hook, because a catfish hook is a very popular hook. Now this is the 6.0 and the 4.0 catfish hook. As soon as I put the catfish hook out, bam, straight away spur dog. I thought, oh, maybe all those fish I lost was a spur dog. Next cast, huss. For the remainder of the session, didn't lose a single fish, but they were only finicky bites. They were like really gentle, you know, dogfish, straps, that type of stuff, that type of bite. But as soon as I put the catfish on, I didn't lose a fish. So since then, especially fishing for, I think with a circle hook, you need a fish to either run towards you to hook it or run away from you, because when it's running towards you, it's got all that tension from the line and the lead dragging through the kelp, through the sand, through the rocks. It's going to get hooked. I find when you've got a finicky bite, so let's say you're ray fishing, you're taupe fishing, you're hound fishing, when you've got a circle hook on, if you've got a finicky bite, my advice is just to wait there for it to run. But then if you're waiting, it could go 2 foot left, 2 foot right without you knowing, and take you into a snag, anything like that. So I've stopped using the circle hooks for general fishing, like if I'm targeting spur dogs, huss, etc., because I don't think they work. So that's why I switched to the catfish hook. But I've stuck with a circle hook on the hounds, because 9 times out of 10 they either scream off or they run towards you. And touch wood, in the last 2 years I've been using circle hooks on hounds. I haven't had a drop fish, which goes to show. Sometimes you get finicky bites off the smooth hounds, but within 30 seconds, a minute, it's either running towards you or it's running away from you. But the likes of huss and spur dogs, they're not really good fighters. They don't scream off. It's just an aggressive dogfish bite. Even last winter I had a spur dog off the Welsh coast, just under 16 pound. That took a 4.0 catfish hook, and it was just a finicky bite, and it was hooked absolutely perfect. So do I dare say if I had a circle hook on, would I lost it? Most probably. And they do it in lots of sizes. The 3 sizes I have here are a 2.0 catfish, sometimes I use for the rays, got a 6.0 catfish and a 4.0 catfish. So I've got a taupe rig here made up already with 2 6.0 catfishes on, like that, and then I've got another rig made up with 2 4.0 catfishes on. So if I'm fishing a winter and there's not as many taupe around as a spring, I'll use the 4.0s, so the huss and the spur dogs, there's more chance of them taking, because we've got really small mouths of spur dogs. Got the Cedra range in the octopus I use as well, which is really good hooks. You might have seen a video a few weeks back where I had a spotted just shy of £5 on the Cedra hooks, octopus. There they are again in a bigger size. Yeah, so that, you know, when you're making rigs as well with your hooks on, it's always good to have your rig wallets full, which you take fishing, and back at home it's always good to have tubs full of rigs, so you haven't got to make rigs the night before. It's an absolute pain. But yeah, my partner hook would always be 5.0 BMXs for the rays, but if you're not confident in a 5.0, use a smaller or a bigger size hook. If you're targeting the hounds, you can use a single hook. I know a lot of people use a single hook. You can use a Chinu, a J-hook, or a circle hook for your top hook. You don't have to use a knotless knot, which I showed on a recent video there, 3/0 BMX and a 4/0 5/0 circle. You don't have to use them, you can use single hooks. The little trick with single hooks is your tag end, leave a tag end about inch, even 2 inches. So you haven't got to use a bait stop. So when you wrap your crab on the hook, fold the tag end of your snood over the crab and then wrap it in elastic. So if you're using a single hook, so when it hits the water, it's not going to slide up your snood, which has happened to most of us, no doubt. But if I'm targeting the tope, now it's straight through catfish hooks, and I'm not saying no other hook works. This is all my personal choice now. But if I'm just targeting the tope, just general, I no problem use the circle hook either. But if there's no tope running, then I wouldn't have any confidence in hooking any other fish, because the amount of fish I've dropped on like the finicky bites. I think I've pretty much covered the rigs I use. Yeah, so got the circle hooks, you've got the catfish hooks, you've got the Seadra octopus hooks, you've got the Chinu hooks, which is now new in a size 5/0. You've got the BMX hooks, which are absolutely great. So yeah, give you a little insight into all the hooks I use and for the for the fish I target. I use a lot of the match hooks as well. You've got the Champions, saltwater Champions. They're good for scratching for smaller stuff, doggy, straps, rockling, pouting, whiting, etc. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video and the hooks and explaining why I do and I don't use and the size of the hooks I use. Fingers crossed, do go out and try something new. It's always nice to try something new. So tight lines. I'll catch you again soon. Nice one.